Today on Dusty Vision Radio, we're going to discuss one of my favorite rappers of all time. In fact, he is the reason I fell in love with hip hop, specifically West Coast hip hop. I'm talking about Eazy-E, the godfather of gangster rap. More specifically, today we're going to talk about the NWA and the Posse album and the truth behind the single Boyz in the Hood. Classic song. Cause the boys in the hood are always hard. Come talking to trash, we'll pull your card. You know the lyrics. Knowing nothing in life but to be legit. Don't quote me, boy, cause I ain't said, yo, lay Rob. I've interviewed a lot of people on my show who are directly involved with the recording of this song and this classic album. If you would like to go down that rabbit hole, go to YouTube search and type in Dusty Vision, Boyz in the Hood. So let's talk about the late, great Eazy-E. And specifically, the song Boyz in the Hood. I remember hearing Boyz in the Hood for the first time and instantly wanted to hear it again, and hear it again. I would go to my friend's house, Ruben Jimenez. Shout out to Ruben Jimenez. He's still out there. I think he lives in Louisiana now. Shout out to Ruben. He introduced me to Boyz in the Hood. And it was on this tape. First of all, let me rewind it a little bit. Take yourself back to, the mid to late 80s. To hear lyrics like Boyz in the Hood was unheard of. We had the Fat Boys. They were doing cute songs about surfing and they were doing movies and stuff. We had Run DMC, the Kings of Rock, There Is None Higher. We had LL Cool J. But none of these guys were touching on the subjects that I heard in this song, Boyz in the Hood. My homeboy Ruben Jimenez, Hispanic dude, is the one who ironically introduced me to the group known as Niggas with Attitude. And I remember asking, what does it stand for? And either him or someone around us nonchalantly told me what it stood for. Niggas with Attitude. Just something that I'll always remember for some reason. I was the only black guy amongst a bunch of Hispanics, but there was no racism around it. It was just, they're called Niggas with Attitude and they make great music. Check this out. So I got introduced to NWA by my Hispanic friends. 11 years old, man. My other Hispanic friend, Ramiro, introduced me to Too Short right around the same time. So here I am hanging out with my Mexican homies, and they're introducing me, the black kid, to music. Which is why, rewinding back to the 70s, just me experiencing what I experienced with Hispanic, Latino, Chicano homies in the 80s. You can't tell me that in the 70s, Latinos didn't have a helping hand in creating what we know as hip hop today. I will forever thank my Spanish homies who don't get love, but they were right there in the journey next to the black dudes in New York, in those parks. They were DJing, they were hitting up on walls, they were graffitiing, they were breakdancing, they were right next to us. But that's a whole other story for a whole other day, the who created hip hop and who did and who was involved in hip hop and who wasn't. Today, it's all about Boyz in the Hood, Eazy-E. So this specific song was supposed to be sung by a group called HBO. Now, you might have saw that in the movie Straight Outta Compton.
And what's a 6'4"?
Yeah, it's a car. A 6'4" Impala. Ganking is when you jack somebody, man. It's not a big deal. The is sounding.
Yo, man, it's too much cursing for radio play. I mean, besides, who gives a about Compton anyway, right?
Alonzo Williams' studio is where Boyz in the Hood was recorded. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That scene that you saw in Straight Outta Compton, when they kick those guys out of the studio and then Eazy-E ends up trying to do the song and he can't get it right, so he kicks everybody out of the room and all of that. That all happened right there at my boy Alonzo's studio. He still owns the home to this day. I've been to that studio several times. We used to record our show for like 2 years there until COVID hit.
They came to the studio and they were some New York cats. It was no big deal. And I walked him in the studio. Hey, man, your Boyz is here. And I sat around and kicked it for a minute. I walked back in the house, walking back upstairs. And they was leaving. They wasn't here maybe an hour, if that long. And I never saw them again. That was it. And I man, what happened? Oh, man, they didn't want to do the song. What happened? Man, they didn't know what Six Foes is. They don't know what that kind of shit is. What? Hey, man, and you know, they was from New York. And they didn't feel they could represent properly.
The movie Straight Outta Compton had a lot of false to it, a lot of falsities. Just interviewing people, knowing my mentor, Alonzo Williams, one of my very good friends, who is responsible for discovering Eazy-E and NWA and Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. They all went through Alonzo Williams, whom I do have a podcast with every Tuesday on NWA Stories with Alonzo. NWA Stories with Alonzo right here on YouTube. If you like old hip-hop stories, if you like history on hip-hop, if you like history from the person who was actually there in the room, check out NWA Stories with Lonzo every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I remember they was dressed like LL Cool J. They was supposed to do the song, and then they started disrespecting Compton. My brother got a Jerry curl and this and that, and we like, what? I'm like, hey, bro, that's my little brother. So they was trying to do the song. I was just, and it's kind of vague about what really happened, but I remember this part. They didn't know what a 6-4 was. They didn't know what ganking. He was saying ganking. So they was like, man, we don't want to do this song, because if we go back to the East Coast, they gonna know somebody from California wrote a song for us. So basically, they was getting disrespectful. Me and my brother got up and we was ready to fight them. So they was like, man, we ain't got to do that. We out of here. So then they left. And that's the part of the movie that I said, me and my brother actually got into it with these cats. My brother Kevin and myself. We got into it with them cats. I remember like it was yesterday. And Dre was like, damn, Eazy, what's going on? What your boys come to do? They come to do music, or do they come to gangbang? And Eazy, he said, or Eric, he said, I guess they came to do both. And I remember, and he said, well, now ain't nobody to do the song. And they was like, well, E, won't you try it? Eric, I remember specifically, he said, man, I ain't no motherfucking rapper. I sell dope. I'm a dope dealer. And then we was like, man, try it, Eric, try it. He tried. You know, he was like, nah. And then he grabbed a paper. He was doing it like he was playing bullshit. And he was like, you know, messing up on purpose, basically. And then Dre kept putting it on him. Come on, man, do it like this, do it like that. Next thing you know, he did it. He got mad. He grabbed it. He did it for real. And like the movie said, we all looked and said, man, that shit was hard. He was like cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the bitches, slapping the hoe. We was like, damn, that shit is hard.
Eazy was no rapper whatsoever. He was the one funding this whole thing. Eazy was trying to get out of the dope game, man. He didn't want to be no rapper.
Eazy was my first success story. When Eazy wanted to Eazy followed me around. We would ride around in my car, or he would follow me to McCullough. He would ride around with me to various places to get his initial Ruthless stuff done. The Ruthless logo. You look at that Ruthless logo and look at anything from Crew Cut, it's the same style. Why? It was done by the same guy, Daryl Davis. Daryl Davis was my graphic designer at that time. I took Eazy over to Daryl Davis's house and he got the logo made. I introduced him to McCullough. I introduced him to Greg Mack. When he first made Boyz in the Hood, it wasn't going to get played. I told him it wasn't going to get played, but Greg Mack had to convince him, hey, man, you got to clean it up, blah, blah, blah. And I also introduced him to Jerry Heller. So when you think about our relationship, and like I said, you know, he took all your artists. He didn't take nothing. You can't make a whole stay if she want to leave. Okay, simple as that. And that's just how the game goes. You can't make somebody leave. He took what I built, my formula, and improved it, made it better, made it work for him.
So Eazy was living in Compton at the time, obviously. And most would say he was a Kelly Park hustler. He was a dope dealer, and he was allegedly trying to get out of that game, trying to go legit. And he had some talented people around him. He knew Dre, and Dre knew other people, and he saw something that very few people see. He saw the future. He knew that with him and Dre together, and whoever Dre can bring in the fold, something could happen. with him funding it and Dre being the music mastermind. You know what I mean? So Dre and Eazy go to Alonzo's club, Eve After Dark in Compton. My man Alonzo Williams, I'm telling y'all, he had his hand in this rap game. You guys just don't know. So they go to Alonzo because they know Alonzo has the connections. You know, I think Dre brought Eazy to Alonzo, if my story serves me correctly.
Just a little short dude wearing a t-shirt, some jeans, wanted to come to Eve After Dark. And I'm like, dude, at that time, the Eve was I ain't gonna say high class, but it was an upscale teen spot. You know, we had a dress code. You had to wear college shirts, dress shoes. You know, we talking about the 80s, man, the 81, 82. And the dress code of the streets was totally different. You had your thug wear, of course, but for the most part, if you want to go to a party that was about anything, you had to step your game up. And he didn't want to do it at the time. He's like, oh, man, I got to do that to come in here. Dre did, but he didn't. And I purposely made his ass stand outside and let Dre up just to piss him off. And you know, he eventually came around. But he didn't come to the Eve that much. He came to the Eve a few times, but he came to Dudos a lot more. Dudos was in the city of Compton. Eve was around the corner, and the Eve was more in a different neighborhood. And I guess he may have felt comfortable coming over there, although they were both the same colors. But Eve was more. I mean, Dudos was more in the in the city of Compton.
And that was the beginning of NWA. Eazy-E meets Jerry Heller, and that's all she wrote. Ruthless Records.
Jerry Heller came to the picture, man. Everybody was at McCullough. McCullough was a big distributor out in Santa Monica Boulevard. And when we got too big for our first manufacturing company, which was Bill Smith Custom Records out in El Segundo, this cat named Duffy Hooks had put McCullough up on the distribution game. Well, we got all these artists coming through McCullough, and Jerry Heller was a former booking agent. Mm-hmm. So he figured at some point in time he can get lucky, and he would post up in McCullough and just talk to the cats as they come through there. And if you had a hit record, he talked to Don, the guy who owned McCullough, who got the hit record, and then he'd go get in your ear. He got it in Egypt, he got it in LA Dream Team. He got it at me first, but I didn't want to sign to him because as soon as he got it at me, CBS called me up, hey man, we got some money for you. And I'm like, what the fuck I need him for if I got check waiting on me already? Mm-hmm. So me and my lawyer cut the deal, but he was still around because he knew we was good to go. And once we signed to CBS, we had a little money issue with the union. Jerry came in and fixed that for us, and then Dre and Yella and everybody was like, "Oh, we need to sign Jerry. We signed to Jerry." Meanwhile, Eazy is hearing all this shit. Mm-hmm. So we signed to Jerry Heller, and then Eazy wanted to meet him. I put them two together, and like I said, you know, again, it was one of the things I never thought it was going to work, but what the fuck do I know?
But back to Boyz in the Hood. So they're in the studio, and by all accounts, Eazy literally had to do hundreds of takes.
I remember Dre stressing about who was going to rap on this song, and I remember blatantly just belligerently saying, Eric need to be the one, Eric need to be the one, Eric need to be the one, Eric need to be the one. And then I left shortly after because I was a street dude. I was making moves in the street still. So for me to spend an hour in the garage, for me that was way too long. But over and over again, I constantly preached that Eric needed to be the one, and I knew it years before that garage incident ever took place. I would tell him all the time.
Eazy literally did the song line by line. So he'd do a line, and then Dre would stop recording. He'd do a line, the second line, and Dre would stop recording. And Dre pieced that song together line by line.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
That ain't it.
Hey, just say the words, all right?
What does that mean?
Man, just say the shit with me, all right?
Cruising.
Cruising. Yeah, cruising.
Let's go.
Dre, you know this shit ain't gonna never work.
All right, you trying to be funny, but you see how you said this shit, right? Like you believe it?
Yeah, I believe that shit.
Then say this shit like you believe it, man. Like it's a motherfucking Sunday and you cruising down Crenshaw in a motherfucking 6'4". Come on, say that shit like you believe it, man. Like it's your words, feel that shit. Stop playing around, loosen the fuck up. There you go.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Oh, shit. Hey, that was dope, eh? That shit was dope, man. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man.
If anybody knows about 1980s editing and recording, that's not easy. That's not easy. Nowadays, you have your mixing board and your laptop, and it's all right here and one thing. It wasn't easy back then to do that. They had reels and things like that. They had to cut and stop and this. There were no computers and all of this. Dre didn't have all them computers and shit. So just to think that Dre did that just shows early on what a master he is. If you could piece a song, you know, he says, woke up quick at about noon. Stop. Record. Just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. Stop. Record. I gotta get drunk before the day begins, before my mother starts bitching about my friends. Stop. Okay, record. About to go when damn near went blind. Stop. I mean, that's literally what it was. That apparently, allegedly, according to folklore, that's how the song was created. And I just find that so cool and so amazing, dude. But if you listen to it nowadays, you cannot even tell. It sounds like he did it all in one take, and that's a long song. It's like a 5-minute song or something like that if you think about it. But no way this song got on the radio. We didn't hear this song on the radio when we were kids. This was a street tape.
We're doing a live broadcast at the Casa Camino Real, and Dr. Dre comes in, and he's got this little short kid with him with Jerry curl, and he says, hey, man, I want to introduce you. This is who I'm working with. His name's Eazy. Easy as Greg, blah, blah, blah. He said, yeah, we did this song, man. We need your help. And I said, okay, cool. So we go out to my car. We pop it in the cassette deck. And it was Boyz in the Hood. But it was Boyz in the Hood. It was the not clean version. And so I said, well, you know, Dre, you always got my support, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know what to think of the song, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, okay, it's cool. I said, but y'all need to go clean it up. I said, you know how I roll. Because I was one of the programmers that would tell them, I don't want you to go bleep out the cuss word. I want you to go change the word so that the kids will have something else to rap to. So that's where the radio versions came out. So within 24 hours, I mean, they must have went right back to the studio and changed it up and brought me a radio version of Boyz in the Hood. And I played it, and same day it was most requested. It's like everybody was calling. Everybody loved that record.
The only people who had it was if their older brother, or, you know, or somebody, or their older cousin gave it to them or something like that. Like, because we couldn't just walk into the warehouse and buy NWA and the Posse. It wasn't happening. That was a street tape. Everyone who got it when I was a kid, meaning everyone who got it when I was a kid, they got it from someone older in their family.
NWA was a lot of groups put together that Eazy wanted to put together, and that was gonna make NWA. And the Posse came out later when they added extra songs and they actually put a big old black block over my whole body. Makola always did tricks behind the scenes, period. You know what I'm saying? What was his name? Scotty Jim Takita? Yep. They always did some kind of little shady stuff behind the scenes. You know, it was some money making things for them, but you know, at the same time, when NWA came out, it was supposed to be groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And me and Candyman was a group. You know what I'm saying? Ice Cube and what was KD, Jinx.
CIA.
They was all a group. They were CIA. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, it all. And then my boy Chip. Mm-hmm. Then we had DJ Train. You know, and then like I said, Candyman and I. You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to be a group for NWA. You know, so that was NWA, and then Eazy and Dre and Q. You know, they was actually like the main people in front of NWA. You know, but that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be groups that formed NWA. It wasn't supposed to be Eazy, Ice Cube, Ren, and Dre, and Eazy. It wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be a group of people that was NWA at first.
But I remember the tape, man. And I remember NWA and the Posse and just looking at the album. Let's look at the album. Let's break the album down. Let me do this. I'm going to pull up NWA and the Posse in this classic picture, man. So there they are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 12 people. And they're standing in front of a wall of graffiti. And people in this picture. It's amazing. The who's who of hip hop. I mean, we have, you remember Candyman? Candyman's in that photo. Candyman. Ooh, boy, I love you so. Never, ever, ever gonna let you go. Was it Knocking the Boots? Once I get my hands on you, girl, I do. Tunnel of love is what would enter in. Something in. Viscerin. Remember Candyman? You had Arabian Prince on here. You, of course, had Ice Cube. You, of course, had MC Ren. You, of course, had Dr. Dre. You, of course, had Eazy-E. You also had Sir Jinx. DJ Train. And I do believe DJ Train, unfortunately, lost his life early in life.
He came with the second wave of JJ Fad. JJ Fad was over at with us over at West Coast Record Distributors, and then Rudy sold him to Ruthless. That's what Train came to my knowledge. I didn't know Train before then, and he was from Compton. So we had crossed paths a few times, and I knew who he was, but we wasn't really that tight. But it's one thing about being from Compton. You ain't got to be tight with somebody to be from Compton. Still have a relationship with them, And allegedly, his family, he burnt up in a house. I think it was Christmas. A Christmas tree caught on fire or something, and the cops couldn't get the doors open in time to save him. And he expired in that situation. It was very tragic, man. Very tragic for the whole community, dude. It's not only just for him, for the music community, but the city of Compton as well, because he was well respected and well liked.
You also had MC Chip, who I've had on my show before, and he broke his story down about being around this classic album at this time.
Well, Eazy had told me Ren the Train, because at the time, Ren the Train, Ren had just left the group with me and my other cat, and he went solo, and he went with DJ Train, and Train was a DJ. So we knew about the album cover, and I can go back to when we didn't even know what NWA stood for. I mean, Eazy, he didn't even tell us. He told us like around the time that the record came out, because he wanted to keep it a secret. He wanted people to ask. See, Eazy had an understanding about branding way back then. He knew kind of like how to set things up, and he knew about publicity and stuff, and he was really smart about that. So he, like I said, he didn't tell us. But long story short, yeah, we did the record album cover across the street from where McCullough Records is. So we walking around, and we crossed, I think it was Santa Monica that was on, I'm not sure if it was Santa Monica or Venice, but long story short, we went across the street and we went to the alley, and the alley was kind of like, it was a corner. It was it was the gate. It was, and then he was like, okay, all right, what about right here? He was like, okay, that's what we did. So
damn,
everybody together,
Santa Monica.
Everybody started kneeling, and that was when I first met Crazy D. I first met DJ Scratch. Like I said, that was the day that I really met them. They was like, everybody was cool. So
you just met most of those guys that day?
Yeah, I do. I just met Scratch. I kind of knew Candyman a little bit, but I didn't really know him. But like I said, that was the day that I kind of met him. But I knew Cube, I knew Dre, of course. Mm-hmm. I knew like me and Ren. We sat right together on the album cover. Yep. So that was our connection. So. And
you guys are dressed the way that NWA eventually decided to kind of go that route. Like I'm looking at you guys. You guys got the white with the black. And that kind of was the trademark, right?
Well, I mean, that's how we dressed. That was Compton right there. It was actually, to be honest with you, it was Eazy and Ren's the original idea to really rep Compton and to really rep the streets and really do the gangster thing, you know. Dre brought in the hip hop element of it, and he brought the music and stuff, and Cube could write his ass off. So that was that was really the main thing. So it was the perfect storm. It was a bunch of guys that were super talented, and it just happened at the right time.
6 of the 11 tracks on the NWA and the Posse album are from then NWA members Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Arabian Prince. MC Ren, actually, and DJ Yellow were not part of NWA yet. However, Ren did appear on that cover photograph.
The day before, they said, well, we're gonna take the picture about, I think it was about 1 or 2 o'clock. So I had a Jerry Curl appointment. That's when we had Jerry Curl.
Mm-hmm. Fresh.
I had to go and get some clothes out the cleaner and all that. So I was ready for it, They called about 9 or 10 o'clock and said, well, we getting ready to go take the picture. And I'm going, I thought they said 1 o'clock. So I threw I had my raggedy Jerry Curl. I had some Fila pants. I just threw on something because we had to go over there, and I thought we had to pick Dre and them up because Dre was staying with Jinx, and Ice Cube stayed 2 doors down. So we wound up going up there. We went up there right across the street from McCullough in the alley. We got in the alley, and I wasn't taking the picture. I had my camera, and I was taking their picture. And then Eazy came, and he looked, he said, "Right, what you doing down there taking pictures? Get up here." I was like, "Man, I ain't taking no picture look like this." And he said, "No, come on, you look ruthless." I said, "I don't look ruthless, I look like a fool." So it was a gang of pictures that they took. It was when I was in the back. That shit would have been bomb. I'd have loved that. But they want to take me a picture sitting up there looking like a goddamn superhero. So.
And here's some more history for you. 4 of the album's tracks were from the Fila Fresh crew. I remember that name, the Fila Fresh crew. And I remember as a kid before the advent of the internet, like, man, whatever happened to the Fila Fresh crew? But I didn't realize until later that the Fila Fresh crew included a rapper by the name of Doc T, who would soon rename himself the DOC, the Lyrical Beast. We know about the DOC, man. It's getting funky. It's getting funky. Ooh, it's getting funky. It's getting funky. Ooh. Dre actually discovered them in Texas, where a DJ friend of his, Dr. Rock, had invited him to perform at a nightclub where the Fila Fresh crew were performing. Now, these 4 tracks had previously been released by Ruthless Records.
When you look on the cover, everybody got 8 balls. I drunk mine. Everybody else was pouring their shit out.
They didn't really get because they didn't really drink.
Look, check this out. Because when we got to that goddamn the place where we took the picture, if you look at the picture, you notice it's a gang of fluorescent colors because that's the only spray paint they had.
Yep.
You notice, look at the cover and look at the color of spray paint. That's the only spray paint they had.
Oh, shit. NWA in pink. I just
you see that fluorescent colors?
Yep. In the back, they're yellow.
Nobody
right
else didn't get that because nobody else know that. That's just some fluorescent ass colors. I'm going to tell you something else. I told Jinx to get off the wall. I was like, Jinx, get off the wall. They gonna put some letters over your face.
They did, huh?
Yep.
That his face is covered by the A.
So I told him now. Damn. I say now everybody. I said I thought my picture was fucked up, but see now anybody could say that was them up there on that wall.
So this album went gold. It was released on November 6th, 1987. And think about this real quick. It went gold really quick, then like platinum and like double platinum and all that. But for an album to go gold, 500,000 copies. Think about that, with no radio play whatsoever. No radio play. That's amazing. It's all word of mouth. All people were talking about on the streets is this group called NWA. Specifically, there's this dude who I think he's 15 years old, because Eazy would troll people all the time and mess around with them and be like, yeah, I was born in 73. And if you did the math, they're like, wait, so that means you're only 15 years old? I remember doing the math myself. Eazy was one of the first trolls. That's a whole other story. But no, this album traveled strictly by word of mouth. It's traveled through the hood. It definitely traveled into white neighborhoods, dude. White people loved this album, dude. There was times where NWA and the Posse were performing to strictly all white crowds. Keep in mind, this is the 80s. That's crazy. And these white people in droves were coming. Excuse me, this whiskey got me hiccuping. Woo. They were coming in droves to check out this group that had the balls, had the gall to call themselves niggas with attitude.
I mean, making a record with cussing on it back in 80, 86, 87, that's unheard of. You know, your thing was to try to get your music played on the radio. And you pretty much killing yourself by making music with cussing in it, because they're not going to play it, you know? And it wasn't no venue, wasn't no lane for that, you know? And he made the lane for that. He just really expressed, you know, he really did what he wanted to do, and it worked.
All right, so there were 11 songs on this album. All the songs were produced by either Dr. Dre or Arabian Prince, or both. Arabian Prince is one person who doesn't get the props he deserves. That will change. But I guess the biggest song on that was Boyz in the Hood, obviously, written by our man Ice Cube. And 8 Ball. I remember 8 Ball. 8 Ball rolling. I was cooling in LA. I was raised in the... So 8 Ball was cool. I remember that. Keep in mind, I was a kid. I had no idea what an 8 Ball is. They were talking about drinking 40 ounces. Old English 800 8 Ball. And I didn't know what they were talking about, but I loved it. I was 11 years old. Like, yeah, pass me the 8 Ball. Dunk the Funk by DOC. See, some of these, I can't even lie. Back then, guys, I skipped through them. I wanted the hard shit. I didn't want any of the electro funk stuff. And no offense to a lot of the electro funk stuff they did, because a lot of this was, am I classifying that correctly? Is it electro funk? But it was it wasn't the gangster. I wanted the gangster stuff. They had a song called Scream. They had Drink It Up. They had Panic Zone, you know, and these are all songs that people, you know, like. Don't get me wrong. People liked, you know, these songs. Don't get me wrong. But LA is the Place. Dope Man. That was one I played back to back. They had Dope Man. Yeah, that's me. Dope Man. I mean, that song right there is just a classic. That's when first thing I learned what a strawberry was. I didn't know what a strawberry is, but here I am, 11 years old, and now I know what a strawberry is. Strawberry is the neighborhood. They had Toughest Man Alive. They had Fat Girl. That was a cool song. I used to like that. Fat Girl. I got a fat girl on my jock. I think that's it, right? There were a lot of Fat Girl songs back then. And then 3, The Hard Way. That was DLC, Fila Fresh Crew. You know, once again, I skipped through that one. Oh, and then, that's right, they had A B is a B. A bitch is a bitch. Whether you're poor or rich, word up. I talk in the exact same pitch. Now the title don't apply to all women, but some women have a little bitch in them. The type of something, man, Ice Cube was coming with those lyrics, man. Ice Cube was showing you guys his pen game is impeccable. That was a track list. You know what? Going back to the album cover real quick. One person I left out. Can't believe I left this person out, but there was one person that stood out in this album cover. The Mexican dude in the front holding the 40 ounce. And if you zoom in really close on the picture, he has a chain with a gun on the chain. And he goes by the name of Crazy D.
Shout out to Crazy D, man. That's boy D. Damon, that's my boy, man.
Damn.
Cause no matter if we don't talk for a while, I always wind up talking to him some kind of way. Mm-hmm. You know, we lose contact because he because of what he's going through, you know, like, come out here, man, let's do a song. He's like, man, I'm just, you know, I gotta go, I'm going through this, so, you know, we gonna get together. But I know we are gonna get together. The Crazy D. If you notice, we was talking about the beers. I skipped all of that. You notice everybody had Old English and he had Budweiser.
Budweiser, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I heard that Budweiser was sponsoring him.
What? Damn.
Just because of that damn album cover. He's the only one that had a Budweiser. It was Old English. And he had that. Now, I don't know. I'm going to have to add that. Hey, that's speculation. So, you know what I'm saying? I didn't never go over his house because even though I had to drink about 1,000 of them to get buzzed, I've been right over his house. Where you at?
And my dude Alonzo knows Crazy D. He knew him a lot more back then. Crazy D doesn't do many interviews, if any. We've tried to get him on the show, and you know, it's just unfortunately just hasn't worked out. One day we may have a Crazy D interview, but Crazy D, man, Lonzo knew Crazy D. Crazy D came to the studio, and Lonzo has some interesting Crazy D stories.
That motherfucker deserved every letter of his name, Crazy D. He wasn't no bullshit. This motherfucker carried a gun all the time, stayed fucking drunk, and if he liked you, motherfucker, whoever was fucking with you had a problem. If Crazy D liked you and somebody was messing with you, he would take the fade for you, okay? I remember one time we was in the studio back in the backyard, and somebody was doing something. Crazy D pulled his gun out and fired. Pow! Motherfucker, what are you doing? You know, I've talked to Crazy D in the last few months. Last time I talked to him, he was having some health issues, and he was really concerned about his future. I wanted to get him on the podcast. He said, man, I only do the podcast if I can come by the house, man. I want to come by the house and kick it with you. I don't want to do it remote. I'm like, dude, you sure? Because he lives in Vegas. So you're welcome to come by the house, man. But he was really going through some things. He had some serious health issues for a while, man. I'm gonna reach out for him, but his number never stays the same. But dude, if anybody deserved the name Crazy D, was him. But nowadays, he's the most humble cat you ever want to meet, man. He got married and shit, stopped drinking, stopped carrying guns and shit. And he was, last time I talked to him, he was a real estate, appraiser, real estate appraiser.
I know he was on a couple NWA songs where he played the Mexican.
Yeah.
Dude in a couple NWA songs.
And he played, we did a song called Funky Chicken. And Dre did a song called Funky Chicken. And at the end of the thing, they talk about all the chicken. He said, man, what about El Pollo Loco, man? That's good chicken, man. That's good. And Shakespeare, get the fuck out of that Mexican chicken, man. It was funny as shit. It was funny as, no, man, El Pollo Loco is good chicken, man. He went straight essay on this, man. That shit was hilarious.
So yeah, man, Boyz in the Hood, NWA and the Posse album, classic. You know what? I'm going to go back and give it a listen. All the songs that I used to skip back in the day, I'm going to go back and give them a listen, man. I'm going to play this, actually. I can't play it on my show, unfortunately, because I will get dinged. But I'm going to listen to this offline. I'm going to finish my joint up. I'm going to finish the little bit of drink I have, and I'm going to just vibe out for the rest of the night on this album. But thank you all so much for tuning in to the program. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Please, before you bounce out, hit that like button if you haven't already. And please, if this is the first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, you want more of this, hit that subscribe button. And if you're extra feeling really extra love, throw your boy a few dollars. Super chat me or super thank me. You know, it's just a little something to keep the engine going. I love you all. Take care. I'll talk to you soon, all right? Peace.